Hey, we're live. How's it going again,
Yeah, it's all
Andy?
good. You?
Pretty good, man. All right, just really quick intro for people tuning in, which actually it isn't live,
Mhm.
so people watching it on the replay. This is Jordan with Location Independent. I have the privilege of chatting with Andy today, who is I love like basically the awesomest job title ever. He's a train geek, and he also is like me one of the few people I've met that is also kind of a digital nomad. They work remote, but they also are employed. They work full time for an employer. They're not just like doing their own side business or having their own freelance gigs. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but yeah. So I was really excited to have Andy on and hear more about his experience, and we can kind of compare and contrast how that is, and maybe I'll compare it with also doing your own thing versus being an employee. All right, Andy. So take it away. You want to just start out by saying who you are and what your job's all about?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm Andy. I'm a train geek for Loco 2. Loco 2 is a booking platform for booking trains within Europe. We essentially query all of the different European suppliers within our core countries and get you the best deals on trains. Um, a train geek is like in-house, I guess is the best explanation we have. Uh, Pretty much a full stack customer support person. So I am responsible for speaking to customers, solving their problems directly. Um, Sometimes this takes the form of submitting claims to rail operators on their behalf. Sometimes it means that I've got to be poking around in the XML files, um,
Oh,
that are kind of the requests and responses from the train operators to find out if there's any sort of anything going wrong on the back end as well. And in between all of that, I also share responsibility for updating the help documentation, so writing copy. I'm finally using my French degree after 8 years of graduating and spell checking, some of that
yeah.
stuff there, and really just anything else that comes up that needs doing. We have a fairly flat team structure, so it's really up to people to step up to the plate and say, "Hey, I know a bit about that. I can help do that," or "I'm interested in doing that," and taking responsibility and ownership and just cracking on with it. Really.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good, man. Um, all right. So I mean, there's so many things I can ask you, like where to start. Okay. Um, I would say, okay, why don't you maybe start off by letting us know how you fell into this or how you found this role? Because I
Sure.
mean, it's kind of everyone's dream to like work, from their work in their underwear in bed. Not that you're doing that, but
I mean, I can stand up and prove that I'm not.
all
If
right. No, no, no.
the jeans are on today, so
I
yeah.
actually just put my shorts on like 5 minutes before this, just in case I had to get up.
just in
So
case. Just in case.
I went to okay. No, before I get no, sorry. I was going to go into an awkward story, but why don't you go first?
Sure. So about 2, 3 years ago, probably close to 3 or 4 actually, I was working as a medical sales rep in the pharmaceutical industry in the UK. Um, Great job, great benefits, but the way the industry moved, it really wasn't for me. It was really quite oppressive, having managers upon managers upon managers breathing down your neck. And unlike smaller companies like Loco 2, it's it's pretty much a 16 wheeler compared to a sports car. If it needs to change direction, it can't do it quickly. It's set on the same track, whereas a smaller company is a bit more agile and a bit more reactive to market changes. So I was getting really disillusioned with working for those big companies, and I love the mountains. I love snowboarding. I decided to take a sabbatical and go and work as a resort manager in Bulgaria. Don't know why Bulgaria,
Okay. Yeah.
but
Why not?
yeah. So that happened, and whilst I was there, I was lucky enough for that to coincide with a digital nomad co-working space being started up the same year that um, I was living in Bansko, and that's I think it's called co-working Bansko. I'm not sure, but through that I was able to meet other digital nomads and find out that, you know, this is an actual thing. People are digital nomads. You can work from home. You can.
Wait, really? I had no idea.
Yeah, you can. When you're working from home, you don't have to be working from home. You can be working somewhere else. You can combine travel and having a sustainable job or career in some aspects. So that was really in the back of my mind. I completed a summer season as a climbing instructor and then went on to become a resort manager in Zermatt. And just honestly, I think through sheer luck, the planets aligned. I knew somebody who was working at this company. I'd through my time in Zermatt, I'd been spending a lot of time working with Swiss Railway, and it was the perfect fit. And you know, I think that's one of the things that I'd never really considered, was asking people that I knew that do digital nomad style jobs, where to get, you know, if they had any recommendations for companies, because I'd spent so much time before that fruitlessly searching on these online notice boards.
I've been there.
You know, essentially glorified MTurk workers. You know, so it never hurts to reach out to someone, and you know, if there's a company that you like that's predominantly online, you know, go to them directly, because they're not always going to be searching for
Right.
you know, people on these generic job boards. They want people that are actually interested in the products that they're selling.
Yeah,
And,
man. I think.
yeah.
Oh, I just want to I think it's
go for it, yeah.
really good points that you just made. Just to point those out real quick. Like, one is co-working spaces. One of the big benefits to those, I mean, there's a few, but one of them is like networking, that you don't really, it's not like a direct benefit, but if you go to one a lot, you meet people and
Sure.
and you get leads that way. The other thing you mentioned is one of the things I mentioned in one of my videos too, is just going directly to a company that you like, or you think that you'd have a good chance of getting a job at. And you know, most people they just look at like jobs posted, and I mean, that's fine as well, but just going directly, and that's actually worked for me. Not my current role. I actually did apply to the job, but for one of my previous employers. And it's like a lot, like, I feel like the competition is that it's zero,
Yeah.
you know, as opposed to like 500 other people.
It's like really setting yourself up for success and positioning yourself, you know, in a better way. You're more active candidate as opposed to a passive one, which, you know, for companies with small companies that are looking for people with a lot of energy, you know, that it really kind of helps your case, as it were.
Right. I just totally another thing. I just have to say real quick. I'm into rock climbing too. Is that what you said, climbing instructor?
Yeah.
So we gotta hang out. We gotta go.
For sure.
But anyway, it seems like a lot of digital nomads have the same kind of hobbies. I don't know if it's just like a coincidence or what.
Yeah. I mean, I guess part of it is, you know, similar kinds of people are drawn to similar kinds of work, but also when you get really engrossed into those kind of hobbies like climbing, alpinism, skiing, snowboarding, surfing, you have to travel for the conditions.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a requirement of being involved in the hobby. So why aren't you going to pursue a job that that allows you to do so? One of our developers recently did, I think it must be the biggest slackline in the world, out in Norway with a bunch of other people. So as a team, we actually have a few of those people built into our team as well, which is really cool compared to previous jobs I'd worked, you know, kind of suited and booted, where you'd ask someone what they did on the weekend and they sat at home, watched Premier League games, and then maybe went to the pub every weekend without fail for 20 years.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our version would be watching whatever.
Yeah.
NFL, ESPN, and but same thing. That actually brought up another question. So with the whole travel thing, now that you do have this set job and you can do it theoretically from wherever, there's definite pros and cons to. I mean, life is definitely more interesting traveling and working. But do you find yourself, now that you've kind of settled down, is it easier just to, you know, be 99% of the time working at home, or are you mostly on the go? Like, what do you do? How do you manage that?
I mean, for me, it's a slightly different situation because one of the reasons that I looked for a more kind of permanent, more salaried role was that I'm actually looking to get married in the next couple of years. Downside is it's an American girl. So we've got the
Downside?
whole we've got the whole visa things to take into account as
Yeah,
opposed to
yeah,
European.
yeah.
So that kind of being tied down aspect wasn't a major part for me, but also a lot of the places that I would be traveling, I'd be looking more towards Europe anyway. And given that those are the countries where we tend to operate, and the time difference isn't as big as you know, say one of my colleagues who works from Anchorage in Alaska.
Oh man.
Um, it's still viable for me to travel the amounts that I'd like to travel and set myself up in a place for maybe a week or two working, yet also able to go out and say enjoy the mountains or maybe catch a quick surf in the mornings.
Okay, nice. So, if I understood correctly, like you have your home base, but then you'll still go on kind of periodic little side trips and
Yeah.
whatever. Okay,
So yeah, definitely very much based from one location, and then when I feel like it, when I get chance, kind of head out, try and do something awesome, while still remembering to log on and say hi to everyone on Slack. So
right, right, right. So it's kind of similar to what I do. Like I'll do like Airbnb. I like to have a home
sure.
base, although currently, well, anyway, speaking of, I don't want to go too into my own thing, but speaking of having stuff in common, I'm also marrying a international lady who's Croatian, and
Yeah,
that's another benefit just having this life that we
sure.
do working remote is that it lets us have relationships that otherwise
Yeah,
would never have been possible. Like, you know what I mean? Like I met
definitely.
her, I'm like, oh, well, she didn't think it would work because I was American. I was like, you know what? I can work anywhere. I'm just gonna come back in like a month and we'll have some more time together, and then I can keep coming back. And she's like, oh, okay, all right, let's give it a try. And then here we are. I'm
Oh,
also engaged myself. So
awesome, congrats. And I think actually in terms of relationships like that, um, it's great being able to do that because one of the things that I see come up quite often is digital nomads talking about issues they get at border control. Saying, "What are you doing here? How are you definitely going to leave the country?" You get it a lot more from U.S. customs and immigration, I've found, but it does happen everywhere.
mhm.
So having a romantic interest that you can also support by doing that, it gives a lot more credibility, and it gives you, I've found, a bit of an easier time getting past the border control guys.
That's a good tip. So remember this, boys and girls. Get into a relationship. It'll help you go anywhere you want. No. Oh man, we could keep talking about this all day. We should probably wrap things up. Is there any kind of final word of advice or words of wisdom you want to leave with people watching this if they want to get started or anything like that?
Yeah, I would definitely say like one of the things that you should be considerate of when you're looking for your first role, working remotely, don't have it set in your mind that you need to kind of attend a programming boot camp, all of a sudden become a programming whiz and be focused on the technical aspect of it. There's a lot more soft skill jobs out there for remote workers than you might think, and that you might get the idea that maybe it is all technical when you speak to some digital nomads. So just keep an open mind, keep looking, and yeah, it never hurts to contact companies remotely to try and help you accomplish that.
Absolutely, man. All right, I couldn't have put it better myself. Again, like I just feel like I'm echoing everything you say, but yeah, totally agree. So thank you so much for joining
No
me.
worries.
I'll just kind of end this with saying that if you liked what Andy and me are doing, please, I would really appreciate giving us a thumbs up the video and subscribing to my channel because I would love to have maybe Andy can come back for a second time at some point. Just
Sure.
maybe we'll talk about rock climbing. No. But yeah, that's it. Thank you again for watching. You're awesome. We're all awesome. And have an awesome day. All right, I'm going to sign off. Bye. See ya next time.
Bye.
All right, bye.